The night was quiet, too quiet. The small town where Daniel lived usually had the sound of dogs barking, cars moving, or music from a nearby house. But tonight the air felt heavy. The moon hung low in the sky, casting a pale silver light over the empty streets. Daniel walked up the narrow path to his house, his bag slung over one shoulder. He had just returned from a late shift at work, tired but looking forward to seeing his only true friend, his dog, Max. Max was more than a pet. For Daniel, Max was family, a loyal companion who had been with him through the darkest days of his life. But when Daniel pushed open the gate, something felt wrong. The yard was silent. Normally, Max would come running, tail wagging, barking with joy. Tonight there was nothing. "Max?" Daniel called softly, his voice echoing against the wooden fence. He waited, no sound. His heart skipped. He hurried to the doghouse. It was empty. The leash that had been tied near the porch was snapped in two, as if something strong had yanked it apart. Daniel bent down, his hands shaking. The end of the leash was frayed, not clean like it had been cut, but ripped. He looked closer at the ground. Strange marks scratched the soil. They were not paw prints. They were long, narrow, almost like claw marks dragging through the dirt. Daniel touched the grooves with his fingers. They were fresh. A cold chill crept up his spine. "Max!" he called again, louder this time. His voice cracked. He listened for any bark, any whine, but only the night answered back. Daniel grabbed a flashlight from the porch and began searching the street. He called his dog's name again and again, but the silence pressed down on him like a heavy weight. Then, just as he turned the corner, he heard it. A faint humming sound, low and steady, coming from somewhere in the distance. It wasn't a car, and it wasn't electricity. It was deeper, almost mechanical, yet alive. Daniel followed the sound, his footsteps quickening. The further he went, the stronger the hum became. He looked up at the sky, but there were no planes, no helicopters. Only the stars twinkling faintly above. Suddenly, movement. Out of the corner of his eye, Daniel saw something shift across the rooftops. A shadow, fast and unnatural. He whipped his flashlight toward it, but there was nothing there. Just the night sky staring back at him. His breathing grew heavy. "It's just my imagination," he whispered to himself. But even he didn't believe it. The humming sound stopped. The silence that followed was worse, pressing against his ears. Daniel stood frozen, his heart racing. And then, he felt it. A presence, as if someone or something was watching him from the dark. "Who's there?" he shouted into the empty street. His voice echoed, but no answer came. Only the sound of his own breath. He turned back toward home, deciding to call the police. Maybe someone had stolen Max. But then at the edge of the road he saw it. Something small, something glowing faintly under the moonlight. Daniel ran forward, his chest tight. It was Max's collar. The familiar leather strap was lying on the ground, but it wasn't normal. It glowed with a faint blue light, pulsing slowly as if alive. Daniel crouched down and picked it up. The leather was warm, warmer than it should be. He turned it in his hands, confusion filling his mind. Max had never been far without it. Why was it here? Why was it glowing? He looked around. The street was empty, but now the silence felt dangerous. His eyes scanned the shadows between the trees, the rooftops, the alleyways. He swore he saw movement again, something darting out of sight. His grip tightened on the collar. Fear battled with anger in his chest. Whoever had taken Max was playing with him. Daniel whispered, almost like a promise. "I'll find you, buddy, no matter what." As he stood there under the moonlight, holding the glowing collar, the world suddenly felt different. The air around him seemed heavier, thicker. The shadows stretched longer than they should. Something was wrong with the night itself. Then, in the far distance, the humming sound started again. Louder this time. And this time it was moving. Closer, Daniel's stomach twisted. He turned toward the sound, clutching Max's collar in his hand. His flashlight flickered once, then went out, leaving him in darkness. The humming grew louder and louder until the ground beneath him trembled. Daniel looked up, and for a moment he thought he saw something massive pass across the stars, something that blocked out the moonlight for just a second. But when he blinked, it was gone. Daniel stood there, heart pounding, trapped in the dark, holding the collar of his missing dog. The night was no longer silent. It was alive, and whatever had taken Max was still out there watching. The morning sun rose slowly over the town, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink. Birds chirped, people left their homes for work, and life seemed normal. But for Daniel, nothing was normal anymore. He had not slept all night. His dog Max was still missing. The strange glowing collar lay on his table, pulsing faintly like a heartbeat. Every time Daniel looked at it, his stomach turned. Something unnatural had happened, and he could feel it in his bones. Daniel kept replaying the night in his mind, the humming sound, the shadows in the sky, the feeling of being watched. None of it made sense. But one thing was clear. Max was in danger, and Daniel had to find him. After sunrise, Daniel decided to search again. He left his house, the collar in his pocket, and followed the same path from last night. The air was fresh but quiet in a strange way. He walked past the town and toward the forest at the edge of the hills. The humming sound returned, faint at first, then stronger, like a whisper calling him forward. Daniel froze. His pulse quickened. "Max?" He shouted into the trees, his voice shaking. No answer. But he felt it, the same presence from the night before. Step by step, he entered the forest. The trees blocked out much of the light, casting long shadows across the ground. The soil was damp, and his shoes sank slightly with each step. He pushed deeper, following the hum, his ears straining for any sound of his dog. Then he heard it. Not the hum, something else. A bark. Daniel's heart leaped. "Max!" He ran toward the sound, branches snapping under his feet. The bark came again, louder this time, mixed with laughter, high-pitched giggles like children playing. Confused and desperate, Daniel rushed forward until he reached a small clearing. His breath caught in his throat. There was Max, his tail wagging happily, his tongue hanging out. He was alive. Relief washed over Daniel, but it lasted only a moment, because Max was not alone. Two small figures stood beside him. At first glance, they looked like little girls, maybe 7 or 8 years old. But as Daniel's eyes adjusted, he realized they were not normal children. Their skin glowed faintly under the sunlight, with swirling marks like silver tattoos that moved slowly as if alive. Their eyes were too bright, shining with a strange golden light, and when they laughed, their voices echoed in a way no human voice ever could. Daniel froze, unable to move. The girls held Max's leash loosely, as if they had been playing tug-of-war with him. Max barked happily, running between them, wagging his tail, completely unafraid. One of the girls looked up and saw Daniel. Her golden eyes locked on him, unblinking. The smile never left her face. She whispered something to the other, and they both giggled again. Daniel's throat was dry. "Well, what are you?" he stammered, taking a step forward. The girl tilted her head, curious. Then, in perfect English, she said softly, "We are not enemies." Her voice was calm, too calm for the situation. Daniel's hands shook. His dog was right there, but his instincts screamed danger. "I just want my dog back," Daniel said, trying to stay steady. The second girl stepped forward. Her small feet didn't even make a sound on the ground. She reached out and gently touched Max's head. The dog looked up at her with complete trust, as if she were an old friend. "He is safe," the girl said. "He belongs with us now." Daniel's chest tightened. "What do you mean with you?" "He's my dog." Both girls giggled again. But there was no cruelty in their laughter, only something strange. The first girl raised her hand and pointed upward. Daniel followed her gaze. Through the gaps in the trees high above the forest, something shimmered in the clouds. A massive shape, metallic and dark, hovered silently, half hidden. It was not a plane, not a balloon, not anything Daniel had ever seen. His breath stopped. What is that?" he whispered. The girl's glowing eyes never left him. "Home," she said simply. Daniel stumbled back, his legs weak. His mind raced with questions. Who were these children? What did they want with his dog? Why were they here? He wanted to run, but Max barked joyfully, running in circles as if nothing was wrong. Daniel's fear clashed with his love for his dog. He couldn't just leave him. The humming sound grew louder again. This time it came from above. The massive shadow in the clouds shifted slightly, and beams of pale light streamed down through the trees. The second girl's smile faded. She grabbed the first girl's hand. Her golden eyes flickered with sudden fear. "They found us," she whispered. Daniel's blood ran cold. "Who found you?" Before anyone could answer, the ground trembled under his feet. Birds scattered from the trees, screeching in panic. The air grew heavy, filled with a low vibration that rattled Daniel's bones. Through the trees, Dark shapes descended from the hovering object above. Tall armored figures landed silently, their bodies covered in metallic suits that shimmered like liquid. Their faces were hidden behind smooth masks with glowing red eyes. They began spreading out, scanning the forest, hunting. The two alien girls clutched Max tightly, their glowing tattoos pulsing faster as if reacting to danger. Daniel's instincts screamed at him to run, but his legs refused to move. His heart pounded so hard it hurt. The first girl looked at him, her voice urgent but still calm. "If you want your dog, you must come with us." Daniel stood frozen, caught between terror and love. The hunters drew closer, their red eyes glowing through the trees, and Daniel realized with horror, this was only the beginning. The forest was no longer silent. Heavy footsteps shook the ground as the armored hunters spread through the trees. Their glowing red eyes cut through the shadows like fire. Daniel's breath came fast and shallow. His heart thundered inside his chest. He wanted to grab Max and run, but his legs felt frozen. The two strange girls stood close to his dog, holding each other's hands tightly. Their glowing tattoos pulsed like quick heartbeats. The older-looking girl turned to Daniel. Her golden eyes were calm, but her voice carried urgency. "Don't make a sound," she whispered. Daniel crouched low behind a fallen tree trunk. He clutched Max's glowing collar in one hand, his knuckles white. The hunters moved closer, scanning the ground with strange devices that hissed and clicked. Their armor shimmered, bending light around them like a mirage. Daniel's stomach twisted. Whoever they were not from this earth. The younger girl leaned close to him. Her voice was barely a whisper. "They are called Seekers. They are here for us." Daniel's throat tightened. "What do they want with you? And with my dog?" The girls looked at each other, silent for a long moment. Then the older one spoke. "We escaped from our world. They chase us across the stars. We hide, but they always follow." Her words were simple but heavy with meaning. Daniel struggled to breathe. His mind wanted to reject it. Aliens, other worlds, hunters, but the evidence was right in front of him. And Max? Daniel's voice cracked. "Why him?" The younger girl crouched beside Max, stroking his fur gently. The dog licked her glowing hand as if she were a friend. "He is strong," she said softly. "His spirit protects us. He carries a life energy the Seekers cannot control." Daniel frowned. "Life energy? He's just a dog." The girl shook her head, her golden eyes burning brighter. "No, not just a dog, he is more. And so are you." Before Daniel could ask what she meant, the forest filled with a sharp metallic sound. One of the hunters had stopped. Its red eyes turned toward them. The girl stiffened. The older one raised her hand and the silver tattoos on her skin glowed brighter. A faint ripple spread through the air, bending light around them. Daniel blinked. The hunters were looking straight at their hiding place, but it was as if they couldn't see them. The ripple wrapped Daniel, Max, and the girls like a cloak. The hunters scanned the area for several tense seconds. Then slowly they moved on, their heavy steps shaking the ground as they disappeared deeper into the forest. Daniel exhaled, his body trembling. His knees nearly gave out. What did you just do?" The older girl's face was pale. "We hid you, but it will not last. They will find us soon." Daniel stared at them, his fear mixing with anger. "I don't understand any of this. You took my dog. You say he belongs with you. Now men in armor are hunting you. Why should I believe a word you say?" The younger girl's expression softened. She reached out, placing her small glowing hand over Daniel's trembling one. "Because you are part of this too," she whispered. Daniel pulled his hand back, shaking his head. "No, I'm just a man. I work, I eat, I sleep. That's all. I don't belong in your war." The older girl's voice was calm but firm. "You already do. The Seekers marked you the moment you touched the collar. They will not stop now. You are one of us." Daniel's stomach turned cold. He pulled the glowing collar from his pocket. It pulsed faintly as if agreeing with her words. "No," he muttered, throwing it on the ground. "This is insane." Max barked suddenly, ears pricking. The forest went silent again. Then snap. A twig broke behind them. Daniel spun around, his heart in his throat. A hunter stood only a few feet away, its glowing red eyes locked on them. The older girl raised her hand, light flaring from her tattoos. But before she could act, the hunter lifted a weapon, a long staff that crackled with energy. A bolt of red light shot forward, slamming into the ground near Daniel. Dirt exploded upward and Max yelped in terror. Daniel threw himself over his dog, shielding him. The younger girl cried out, her small body glowing like fire. A burst of golden light erupted from her hands, slamming into the hunter's chest. The armored figure stumbled back, its armor sizzling. But more red eyes appeared through the trees. 3, 4, 5 hunters, all closing in. The older girl grabbed Daniel's arm. "Run!" Daniel hesitated. His every instinct screamed to protect Max, to fight. But the hunters were too many. He stumbled forward as the girls pulled him along, Max running at his side. Beams of red light tore through the forest, burning trees to ash. The ground shook as the hunters advanced. Daniel's lungs burned, his legs heavy. But fear drove him forward. Branches whipped against his face as they crashed through the woods. The humming sound from above grew louder, shaking the air itself. The massive ship in the clouds was lowering, shadows stretching across the earth. The younger girl shouted over the noise. "If they take us, your world will fall." Daniel's mind spun with confusion. He didn't know what they meant, but the terror in her voice was real. They burst out of the trees, stumbling into a clearing by a river. The water rushed past cold and fast. The hunters closed in from behind, their red eyes burning in the shadows. Daniel looked around wildly. There was nowhere to run. The water was too deep, the forest behind them blocked by enemies. The older girl stood tall, her glowing skin brighter than ever. "Stay behind me," she commanded. Daniel pulled Max close, his chest heaving. His mind screamed in panic, but a strange thought broke through the fear. This is not about just a dog anymore. The hunters raised their weapons. The air shimmered with deadly energy. The older girl lifted her hands, her tattoos blazing like fire. And Daniel realized, with a cold rush of fear, he was standing on the edge of something far greater than he could understand. The river roared beside them, its dark water rushing fast and wild. Daniel stood at the edge, his chest heaving. Max pressed against his legs. Behind them, the forest glowed with red light as the hunters advanced, their weapons sparking with deadly energy. The older alien girl raised her hands, her glowing tattoos blazing bright silver. A dome of shimmering light spread out, forming a fragile shield around Daniel, Max, and the two girls. Red beams of energy slammed into the shield, crackling like lightning against glass. Daniel flinched at every impact. The sound rattled his bones. "We can't stay here," he shouted. The younger girl's voice shook. "We have to run." But where? The older one's eyes burned golden. Across the river. Daniel stared at the raging water. "That's insane." "We'll drown!" A crack split the shield as another blast hit it. The older girl winced, her small body trembling. Better to try than to be taken. Daniel looked at Max, then at the glowing eyes of the hunters moving closer. His throat tightened. He knew she was right. "Fine," he said, grabbing Max's collar. "But you stay with me." The younger girl nodded quickly. Without another word, they dashed toward the river. The shield shattered behind them with a loud crack. A storm of red beams cut through the air. Daniel dove into the cold water, dragging Max with him. The girls followed, their glowing tattoos lighting the river like pale lanterns. The current was fierce. It pulled Daniel under, spinning him like a rag doll. He gasped for air, kicking hard, keeping one arm around Max. His lungs burned, fear clawing at him. He glimpsed the girls beside him, moving through the water with strange ease, their glowing skin shimmering like stars beneath the surface. Above the river, the hunters fired again. Red beams struck the water, boiling it in flashes of steam. Daniel ducked under just in time, dragging Max down with him. When he finally broke the surface again, coughing, they were on the other side of the river. He stumbled onto the muddy bank, collapsing with Max. The dog shook himself, barking wildly but alive. The two girls climbed out gracefully, their glowing eyes scanning the trees. The older one whispered, "They will not stop. They will cross." Daniel pushed himself to his feet, water dripping from his hair and clothes. "Then we keep moving." They ran again, crashing through the dense forest. Daniel's legs ached, his lungs screamed for air, but he didn't stop. Behind them, the humming grew louder as the hunters crossed the river. The forest seemed endless. Every shadow looked alive. Every sound made Daniel's heart leap. He glanced at the girls. They moved faster than him, almost gliding, but they slowed enough to stay with him and Max. Finally, they reached a rocky hillside. The ground rose sharply, leading to caves hidden among jagged stone. "There," The younger girl shouted, pointing. They scrambled up the rocks, slipping on the wet stone. Daniel's muscles burned, but adrenaline pushed him higher. Max leapt beside him, claws digging in. The first cave was shallow, but it gave them cover. Daniel collapsed inside, chest heaving. We can't keep running forever, he gasped. The older girl's glowing eyes locked on him. We are not running forever. We are running until you decide. Daniel frowned, sweat dripping down his face. Decide what? The younger girl spoke softly, her voice trembling. To fight with us, or to let them take us. Daniel froze. His heart pounded. He had never been a soldier, never even been in a fight like this. He was just a man who loved his dog. Yet here he was, hunted by alien warriors, hiding with two strange children who spoke of wars among the stars. Before he could answer, a beam of red light sliced through the hillside, shaking the ground. The cave trembled. Dust fell from above. They found us, the older girl said. The hunters appeared at the base of the hill, their glowing red eyes fixed on the cave. They began climbing, their armored bodies moving with terrifying speed. Daniel's stomach dropped. We're trapped. The older girl stepped forward, her tattoos blazing like fire. Not yet. She raised her hands and the air shimmered. A blast of silver light shot down the hillside, knocking two hunters back. The ground cracked, rocks tumbling, but more climbed upward, their weapons ready. The younger girl grabbed Daniel's arm. You must help her. She cannot hold them alone. Daniel's chest tightened. Help her how? I don't have weapons. I don't have powers! The girl's golden eyes burned into his. You have more than you know. The collar chose you. Daniel pulled the glowing collar from his pocket. It pulsed wildly as if alive, matching the rhythm of his racing heart. His hand shook. No, I can't, he whispered. A red beam exploded just outside the cave, the heat scorching Daniel's skin. Max barked furiously, placing himself between Daniel and the hunters. The older girl screamed as her shield faltered. The hunters were almost inside. The younger girl grabbed Daniel's hand, pressing it against the collar. Her voice was sharp and desperate. You must decide now. If you do nothing, we all die. Daniel stared at the hunters closing in, at Max growling bravely, at the two glowing children risking everything. His fear was crushing him, but somewhere beneath it something else stirred. Anger. He clenched the collar tight, and for the first time, it didn't just glow. It blazed with light, flooding the cave with a brilliant silver fire. The hunters paused, their red eyes flickering. The girls gasped, their tattoos pulsing in rhythm with the collar. Daniel's whole body shook as energy surged through him, burning, alive, unstoppable. And in that moment, he knew he could run no longer. The cave glowed with silver light. Daniel stood frozen, clutching the dog's collar in his hand. It blazed like fire, flooding the darkness with a strange energy that felt both alive and heavy. His body shook, every muscle tense. The hunters had stopped. Their red eyes flickered, uncertain, as if the light disturbed them. For the first time since the chase began, Daniel saw hesitation in their movements. The older alien girl stood beside him, her glowing tattoos pulsing in rhythm with the collar. Her voice was low, steady. You see now? It has chosen you. Daniel's breath came in sharp gasps. He stared at the hunters outside the cave. What is this? What's happening to me? The younger girl's voice was softer, almost sad. The collar is not just a chain for your dog. It is a key. It awakens what you carry inside. Daniel shook his head violently. No, I don't carry anything inside. I'm just a man. I don't belong in your war. The hunters moved closer again, but slowly now, their weapons lowered. One stepped forward, its metallic armor gleaming in the dim light. Its voice came from behind the smooth mask, deep and echoing. Human. Daniel stiffened, his heart pounding. The voice was not natural. It was mechanical, layered with static yet filled with cold intelligence. You hold something that does not belong to you. Give us the children. Give us the animal, and we will let you live. Max growled, his fur bristling, teeth bared. Daniel pulled him closer, his hand trembling. The hunter's leader raised its weapon, though not to fire. Its glowing red eyes bored into Daniel. You are not part of this war. Walk away now and you will be safe. The younger girl gripped Daniel's arm, her golden eyes wide with fear. Do not listen, they lie. Once they take us, they will take him too. The older girl nodded, her voice steady but urgent. They always consume everything. No world is safe when they arrive. Daniel's chest tightened. He looked from the hunters to the girls, then down at Max, who stood ready to protect him even against armored giants. The hunter leader spoke again, its tone sharper. You do not understand, human. These children are fugitives. They are not innocent. They carry power that will destroy your world if you let them live. The words cut through Daniel's mind like ice. He turned to the girls. Is that true? What are you hiding from me? The older girl's expression was calm but sorrowful. We ran because we were born different. On our world, that is enough to be hunted. They call us dangerous, but we only want to live. The younger girl whispered, tears in her glowing eyes. We did not choose this. We only chose to survive. Daniel's thoughts swirled. His dog, his safety, the world he knew, and now this impossible choice. The hunters offered safety, but their red eyes burned with something more. Daniel could feel it in his gut. They didn't want peace. They wanted control. Choose, the leader commanded. Now. The silence was crushing. Daniel felt sweat dripping down his face, his hands trembling around the glowing collar. He was no soldier, no hero. He just wanted his dog back. But the collar pulsed stronger, sending a wave of energy up his arm. The cave seemed smaller, the air heavier. Deep inside him, something stirred. Anger, courage, something he had never felt before. The younger girl leaned closer. Her voice was soft but fierce. You must decide, them or us. Daniel closed his eyes for a moment. He thought of Max, how the dog had stayed by his side through every lonely night, every loss, every moment of despair. He thought of the glowing collar, of the hunter's weapons, of the shadows in the sky. He thought of the girl, small and fragile, yet carrying a weight far greater than any child should. And then he thought of the words the hunter had spoken. They will let you live, but only live like a coward. Only live by betraying. Daniel's eyes snapped open. He tightened his grip on the collar until his knuckles turned white. His voice came out rough but steady. No. The hunters froze. What did you say? Daniel stepped forward, Max at his side, the collar blazing with silver fire. You don't get them. You don't get my dog. And you don't get me. The leader's red eyes narrowed. Then you choose death. The older girl's tattoos blazed brighter than ever. She turned to Daniel, her voice filled with urgency. Then we fight together. The hunters raised their weapons in unison, beams of red energy sparking to life. The ground shook with their power. Daniel felt the collar surge in his hand, flooding his body with strength. The younger girl clasped his free hand, and in that instant, their lights joined. The silver of the collar, the gold of the girl's tattoos, merging, blazing brighter, filling the cave with a storm of brilliance. The hunters hesitated, their weapons trembling in their hands. For the first time, Daniel saw fear in their glowing red eyes. And then, with a roar, the hunters fired. The cave exploded with light. The cave exploded with light. Red beams from the hunters clashed against the silver and gold radiance that poured from Daniel and the two alien girls. The air shook, rocks cracked, and the ground rumbled like thunder. Daniel's eyes burned with brightness. His hand clenched the collar, now more like a living flame than leather. He felt the energy racing through his veins, powerful but overwhelming, like holding a storm inside his body. Max barked fiercely, his fur glowing faintly as if the energy touched him too. The dog stood firm, fearless in front of the hunters. The hunters fired again, their red beams tearing through stone. But Daniel lifted his free hand without thinking. A wall of silver light burst from his palm, deflecting the blasts. The energy didn't feel forced. It felt natural, like he had always known it but forgotten until now. The older alien girl's tattoos pulsed, merging their light with his shield. She shouted over the noise, "You are one of us now. Fight, Daniel." Daniel's heart pounded. Fear tried to grip him, but anger was stronger. He had almost lost his dog, almost given in to the hunter's lies. Not anymore. With a roar, he pushed forward. The shield of light expanded, slamming into the hunters like a wave. Two of them were thrown back, crashing against the rocks with a metallic clang. The younger girl moved beside him, her small hands glowing golden. She formed darts of light and hurled them at the hunters, each strike bending them backward. The air sizzled where her power touched their armor. The hunters regrouped quickly. Their leader stepped forward, raising its weapon. Red lightning shot from its staff, striking the ground. The earth split and fire erupted, forcing Daniel and the girls to stumble back. Human, the leader's voice boomed, cold and echoing. You waste your life. This power will consume you? Daniel gritted his teeth, gripping the collar tighter. Better consumed than a coward. He swung his arm. A blade of silver light erupted, slicing through the air. The nearest hunter blocked, but the impact cracked its armor, sparks flying. Max lunged, teeth snapping, knocking the weakened hunter off balance. The dog's growl was deep, more like a beast than a pet. His eyes glowed faint blue, the same rhythm as the collar. The younger girl gasped. He is changing. Daniel's stomach twisted, but there was no time to ask. Another hunter charged, swinging its weapon. Daniel raised the glowing collar and it clashed against the blade with a sound like ringing steel. Sparks of red and silver scattered across the cave walls. The force pushed Daniel back, but the energy inside him surged stronger, guiding his movements. He struck again, this time faster, harder. The hunter stumbled, its mask cracking. Beneath it for a moment, Daniel glimpsed a face, gray skin, twisted and scarred. Eyes burning like fire. He shuddered, but pressed on. The battle raged, light against darkness, the cave echoing with explosions of energy. The hunters were powerful, disciplined, relentless, but Daniel, the girls, and Max fought like a single living force. The older girl shouted, her voice fierce. Together! They joined hands, Daniel, the two alien children, and Max pressing close. Their lights merged, silver and gold and faint blue twisting into a single blazing sphere. The glow grew so bright it drowned out the hunters' red beams completely. Daniel felt the world shift. His fear was gone. His doubts were gone. For the first time in his life, he wasn't just surviving, he was fighting for something bigger. With a cry, they released the energy. A shockwave blasted outward, shaking the hillside. The hunters were hurled back like broken dolls, crashing into the trees below. Their armor sparked and smoked. The leader dropped its staff, staggering, its red eyes flickering. The forest fell silent for a moment. Daniel stood in the glow, chest heaving, Max at his side, the girls clinging to him. He couldn't believe what they had done. But it wasn't over. The leader rose slowly, its broken mask revealing more of its twisted face. Blood ran down its chin, but its voice was steady. This changes nothing, it growled. You are marked now. The masters will come for you, and for your world. Daniel's stomach tightened. He wanted to deny it, but the sky answered before he could speak. A deep rumble echoed across the heavens. The clouds above twisted violently and the air grew heavy. A massive shadow spread over the forest, darker than night, swallowing the stars. The younger girl clutched Daniel's arm, her golden eyes wide with terror. No, it's too soon, the older one whispered, her voice trembling for the first time. The masters! They are here. Daniel looked up. His throat went dry. The ship that had hunted them was nothing compared to this. The new shadow covered the horizon, a monstrous vessel bigger than a city, its surface crawling with glowing red lines like veins of fire. The hunters below dropped to their knees, bowing in perfect silence. Daniel's heart slammed against his ribs. His grip on the collar tightened. Max growled, sensing the danger. The girls pressed closer, their small bodies trembling. And for the first time, Daniel understood this wasn't just about saving his dog, it was about saving the earth. The night sky was no longer peaceful. The enormous shadow above the forest swallowed the stars, its surface glowing with rivers of red fire. The monstrous vessel was so vast it seemed endless, stretching across the horizon. Daniel stared upward, his mouth dry, his heart pounding so hard it hurt. He had seen strange things in the last 2 days, but nothing like this. The hunters had been terrifying, but this was something far worse. Beside him, the two alien girls clung to each other. Their glowing tattoos pulsed like frantic heartbeats. The younger one whispered, her voice trembling. The masters. They have come. Max growled low, the fur on his back bristling. His eyes glowed faint blue, brighter now as if he too sensed the danger. The leader of the fallen hunters stood tall again despite its broken armor. It dropped to one knee, bowing deeply toward the monstrous ship above. Its voice echoed through the forest, all hail the masters. The hunt is complete. Daniel's fists tightened around the glowing collar. Anger rose in his chest. He wanted to scream, to fight, but his body felt small under the weight of the ship's shadow. The older girl grabbed his arm, her golden eyes sharp. Do not listen to them. You must stand strong. You are part of this now. Daniel shook his head, his voice cracking. I'm just one man. I can't fight. That? He gestured helplessly at the ship above, its red lights crawling like veins of fire. You can. the younger girl said softly. Because you are not just one man anymore. Before Daniel could respond, beams of red light streamed down from the ship, striking the ground with thunderous force. The earth shook, trees splintered, and the air grew thick with heat. Out of the burning light descended new figures, taller than the hunters, their armor darker, their red eyes glowing brighter. The ground cracked beneath their weight. These were not seekers. These were something higher, something worse. The girls gasped. The master's soldiers. Daniel staggered back. He wanted to run, but his feet would not move. The air itself felt heavy, pressing him down. Max barked furiously, standing between him and the new arrivals, his glowing eyes blazing brighter than ever. The leader of the hunters bowed low to the soldiers. The fugitives are here. The human protects them. The tallest soldier stepped forward. Its voice was like thunder. Human, you touch what is forbidden. You fight in a war that is not yours. For this your world will pay. Daniel's fear twisted into fury. He lifted the collar, its silver light flaring. If you want them, you'll have to take me too. The older girl's tattoos burned like fire. She stepped beside him, raising her small hand. We will not surrender. The younger girl joined her, her golden eyes filled with courage. Together, the soldiers laughed, a deep metallic sound that shook the ground. One raised its weapon, pointing at Daniel. Then your earth will be the first to fall. The collar blazed in Daniel's hand, flooding his body with energy. He felt Max press against his leg, glowing brighter, almost as if the dog was part of the power itself. The two girls gripped his arms, their lights merging with his. For a heartbeat, everything slowed. The fear in Daniel's chest vanished. He felt strength not his own, something ancient, something human, something that the soldiers themselves seemed to fear. The leader's red eyes widened. No, it cannot be. The older girl's voice rang clear. It is beginning. Humanity has awakened. Daniel roared and raised the collar high. Silver light burst outward, brighter than the sun, blasting against the soldiers. The forest shook as the ground split and trees shattered. The monstrous ship above trembled, its red veins flickering like dying fire. The soldiers staggered, their weapons faltering. For the first time, Daniel saw hesitation in their glowing eyes. But the power was too much. Daniel's knees buckled. His vision blurred. He felt like the light was tearing him apart from the inside. Max barked, pushing closer, sharing the burden. The dog's glow grew even stronger, spreading across its body. The younger girl cried out, grabbing Daniel's arm. You cannot hold it alone. You will burn. The older girl's golden eyes locked on him. You must choose, Daniel. Use the power to fight now, but risk your life. Or seal it inside and wait for the true war to come. Daniel's chest heaved. The soldiers were recovering. The monstrous ship still loomed above. His world, his entire planet, was in danger. He could unleash everything here and now, maybe win, but maybe die. Or he could hold back, survive, and prepare humanity for what was coming. His heart pounded. Max barked, his blue glow pulsing in rhythm with the collar. Daniel's voice was hoarse, broken, but steady. If humanity is their last hope, then I will not run. The girl's eyes widened. He lifted the collar high one last time. The silver light erupted, swallowing the night, shaking the heavens, tearing through the monstrous shadow above. The soldiers screamed, their red eyes shattering into sparks. The ground split, rivers of fire racing across the forest floor. And then, silence. The light faded. The soldiers were gone. The hunters had vanished. The monstrous ship above flickered, and then retreated, swallowed by the clouds. Daniel collapsed to his knees, gasping, the collar still glowing faintly in his trembling hand. Max pressed against him, eyes shining bright, no longer just a dog. The two alien girls stood on either side of him, their golden eyes filled with awe and fear. The older one whispered, her voice trembling. It has begun. The masters know now. They will return with greater force. The younger girl looked at Daniel, her small voice carrying a heavy truth. You are no longer only a man. You are the spark. You are the start of humanity's fight. Daniel stared at the sky where the ship had vanished. His body shook with exhaustion, but his voice was steady. Then let them come. The night was silent again, but it was not the silence of peace. It was the silence before war.